If you're an online coach, you're looking for some inspiration in terms of what can be done in terms of the industry. Today I've got Michael and Dave Kennedy for. This is Dave's second appearance on the podcast. They've got a very unique online fitness business, specifically helping farmers transform their lives. Today we're going to dig into their backstory, how they built a six-figure coaching business per month, helping farmers, and go into a lot of the mindset behind that, because that's one of the biggest things I know has helped you guys personally transform from where you are to where you are right now. To kick things off, Dave and Michael, how did you first get into online fitness coaching?
I suppose from the very get-go, it was just from a weight loss journey, really, from the very start. Coming through grief, losing our sister in 2010, we gained a lot of weight. Emotional eating was a big thing for all our families, to be honest. Like, we're coming from a farming background. Food is a strong dynamic in the farming household, and food was a very safe place for us. And sure, at the time, we didn't know that. So me and Mike put on a lot of weight. We were only in Ferrari last Sunday, and I remember we're on the fastest back in 2012. We're the fastest roller coaster in the world. And if you saw us, and we took another picture now, and we're just talking about it.
On the same roller coaster?
Yeah. Just the difference, like, it's crazy, but it just brings us back to that time of like where we were. I guess that's where it really stemmed. But coming from a place and making that change, like making our sister proud, is the number one priority, even to this day. And that's where the journey started. I lost a lot of weight quickly. Mike lost 4 stone, I lost 8 stone, and to be honest, Mike actually got me into the gym. I was the cardio bunny, you could say. Didn't have the confidence to go into the gym, where Mike started watching YouTube, like the YouTubers that are huge right now, and was always be telling me, Dave, like, you need to get into the gym, like, you need to tighten the body, because I had a lot of loose skin. And I never did. I never had the confidence to do it.
No, I never. And it's funny, like, I remember back then, over the years of 2013, 14, losing the weight. And then when I came back out to Dubai after losing that 4 stone, like, I remember I was at Fitness First and, like, in Matuta Mall, and I done like my first PT session, and the guy that PT'd me was massive, like, ripped to shreds, and I was like, the small little kid, and I was like, right, I need to do what this lad's doing. So I just started, like, educating myself on training. And obviously then, Dave going through his own journey, like, I could just see that, if you wanted to tone up and shape up, like, weights training was the next step, really. And being able to just introduce both of us to that time was powerful, really. Like, and, it's funny, even thinking back to those days, like, watching some of the original YouTube creators, like, I remember I got a camera there for Christmas one year, and I was like, geez, I'm going to start documenting my own fitness journey, like, and I never did, like, and I still have that Canon camera, GX Mark II, like GX7 Mark II, like, and it's sitting there, and every time I look at it, I was like, if I just started documenting there and put myself out there, like, where would I be today? But
100%.
I suppose, look, we can all think back and think that way too.
Quick interjection into the podcast. If you're an online coach who's looking to scale the business, get their first 5K month, 10K month, or even get to 50 to 100K a month, we have helped hundreds of trainers do this at this point, and I've personally generated over $14 million online in the fitness industry. We have a proven methodology that works, provided you're willing to do the work. Now, if you want to book in a free business audit, we'll break down exactly where you are now, where you want to go, and what's currently holding you back. Hit the link below this video and below the podcast to find out exactly how we can help you. Pick a time, and we will walk you through the process of where your business is at and what exponential growth looks like. Now, back to the podcast. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. And I remember in 2008, I first became a PT, and I worked at the original gym group in Guildford. I think, like, YouTube had just come out and Steve Cook was on there. And, like, if I had known what I knew now, like, it's easy in hindsight.
Absolutely.
What do you think stopped you at the time? Do you think it was maybe the fear of doing something different, in particular, maybe coming from, like, Ireland, where it was even worse in the UK with people, like, tearing people down? Because I know when I first started fitness coaching, posting content on the internet, like, people would slate me and saying stuff behind my back, like, consistently. But for me, I just used that as fuel to be like, fuck you, watch this. And then I find it funny a few years later in hindsight when I see the same people, like, it's just amusing to me, because then you've proved your point. Was that a similar thing for you?
Yeah, so, like, for us, like, coming from a farm in Ireland, like, going to the gym was just unheard of. Like, our parents were like, what are you going to the gym for? Do you know what I mean? And it wasn't that, they didn't want to see us do well, like, they had our best intentions at heart, but just back then, like, training and fitness just wasn't, a massive part of the culture, especially in Ireland, like. And for me, I was always like, no, I'm going to just focus on, getting an understanding of agriculture, farming, and that's what I was passionate about. And, I've done a bachelor's degree in agriculture, and I've actually done a PhD in agriculture as well, but, like, back then it was always like, how could I ever make a living off fitness? You know, I always saw like, oh, you know, brilliant. I love seeing these lads in great shape, like your Steve Cooks, all these guys doing the Olympiads, which were so inspiring. But like, for me, I was like, how can I possibly ever make a living from doing that? You know, it's grand because all these guys have supplement sponsorships and clothes sponsorships, but health and fitness coaching just wasn't something that was spoke about back then at all, really. And I think that's what kind of held me back, and that's the reason I kind of took that safe path of wanting to pursue a career in agriculture and farming. Like,
what was your first exposure to like online coaching then?
I think getting our first coach, we got the same coach actually. I remember it was back in 2015, and that was our first time actually understanding, for me, to actually put on muscle and eat more food and start to shape the body up more, because it was just before it was like low calories, cardio, and getting that understanding of, you know, someone having that soundboard and getting that response, know that you're doing things right. I was like, it was very, very interesting to say, right, this is something that I'd like to do, you know. And again, the same as Mike, coming from a farming background, done that undergrad in agriculture as well, food marketing masters, lecturing agribusiness over here. We thought we were doing the right thing, because it wasn't that we were trying to please our parents, but we just thought that, again, the fitness side of it, the coaching wasn't us. Again, that's just a block of like confidence, what people think, exactly like you said. And that's something that would have stopped us, because we're coming from a place of heavy lads, you could say, so confidence was low anyway. So that really played in our mind, and only the biggest learning curve from that was working with the likes of coaches, to be honest, and bettering ourselves, bettering our body, and doing it together, because we were like hyping each other up, because none of our friends, all country background, you know, farming, drinking, smoking, you know, like none of them went to a gym. And it's funny, you know, 10 years later, they're all going to a gym, which is funny, you know? But it's how things have changed. But back then, it was like, it was only for me and Mike. I honestly, you know, don't think I would have got where I was if I didn't have Mike beside me, and probably vice versa, to be honest.
And I think that's to me is like the most important thing, is like the law of exposure. Like, once you're exposed to something and you see like behind the curtain of how it works, you can't like unsee that. And I think that's everyone has those moments in their life. People might be listening to that right now. They can think, and I can think specifically for myself right now, like the moment I'm like, fuck, this is how it works. And I remember sitting in Starbucks in Kingston, the UK, and the first time I sold someone an 8-week program for £500, I was like, I thought I'd like invented fire, because I thought this thing wasn't real. It's like, how is that even a thing? Whereas at the time, I was maybe making like 3k a month after tax, working full time. So suddenly to get someone to pay £500 for coaching me online for 8 weeks, I was like, that's pretty sick. And I think that's where, particularly the UK and Ireland, we're pushed, I think, into like a little box of being like small-minded, whereas you have certain things that start to like creak that box open and open your mind to then like bigger and better things and what you can do.
Yeah, 100%. And I even think for us, like, you know, even for us to make that change, you have to have that resilience as well. I think coming from Mike losing 4 stone, working on his body, getting in shape, me losing 8 stone and working on our bodies, it broke our own beliefs, right? And everything, like the beauty about just losing weight, it ricochets of every other area of your life. So that gave us the self-belief of who we were. That gave us the self-belief to do better in the exams, you know, to actually not care what people thought. Because as you're going through a change in your physique, you get the people there wish you saying, well done losing weight. And then you get the people when you get in shape, then they're like, oh, you're too good for us. You know, it changes.
Or you've gotten too skinny, Dave.
Yeah,
you need to eat some
it's
more,
it's a reflection on them. You know, it's like, it's fine until you pass them. You know, it's like anything. And then there's a different level of judgment. And that's, look, everyone's on their own journey. That's totally fine. But to give us the confidence to actually, you know, to try it and fail, because, you know, COVID was probably the best thing and the worst thing that could happen to us, to be honest, for me anyway. And because I went from a failed business, I was doing a hot cold war therapy business in Dublin that failed because COVID happened, and we went back milking cows for cash, literally, you know, during COVID, and I was milking for, like, just working for cash, like, and I was like, I came from lecturing agribusiness or lecturing here in Dubai, and I was like, what is life, you know? But again, that didn't stop us. You know, that was the pinnacle, and I'm very grateful for that right now, to say, I'm here, it's shit, but I still persevered because of the self-belief I had in myself, because of the undeniable proof that we've done to our bodies throughout the years.
And that's why, for me, I think fitness has to be the first foundation of everything you do to be successful, because people might disagree with us or not, but they can go fuck themselves as far as I'm concerned. It's like, if you look in the mirror and you are happy with the way you look and you have the right habits of that, you automatically have some level of confidence in your life, because you have the ability to stick to this thing and be successful at one thing you can completely control, because you control what you eat, you control how you work out, you control all those variables. Like, shit happens in life with business, and I think that's where you have to try and control the controllables. And I think the bigger people's businesses get, and there's also something we spoke about a bit earlier on, is that like there's more things you can't control, and you have to kind of go with the flow and just have that resilience to take it on the chin sometimes. What else do you think has helped you build that type of mindset to then be able to continue with some of the challenges that have come in terms of scaling the business? Because that's the biggest thing I see so many coaches struggle with, is they do not understand it's hard. And that's where like I end up being very blunt with people sometimes. They think it's been very easy for me. It's like, dude, this has been really fucking difficult.
Yeah.
Like, my job is to make it less difficult for you, but it's like getting kicked in the fucking nuts all the time and just keep getting up.
Yeah. I think, again, it's that resilience, but as well as that, it's been very grounded. Like, I confidently say the more success we gain, the more grounded we are. And the more it's not about money, it's more about the impact, because purpose is so important, you know. And for me, we never got into this because we wanted to make money and drive the Lambos and all that crack, right? We got into this because of our own journey, because we actually firsthand experienced the benefits of how we felt and our passion for it. So it's coming from a place of impact, not from a place of, you know, gain. Like, the byproduct of all this good stuff is creating the impact, and then the money and all that's all byproducts. That's all great, but it's actually changing people's lives is the most important. Yes, the resilience is being more grounded and being able to, we've like a cheat code, because we're very alike, we're together doing it. So when I'm feeling down, we can ricochet off each other, and you know, if I'm stressed or he's stressed, vice versa, we can bounce off each other, and that's a great relationship that we do have. And it's a cheat code, if you ask me, because when you are doing it by yourself, you know to bounce that off, you know. And that's why having a mentor, you know, having people on your side is so important. But every level is a new devil, right? And the more work you can do and the more grounded you can be going through that, the more awareness you'll have. And business is a self-awareness program.
For sure.
That's exactly what it is. The more you grow, the more aware you get of where you are. You'll hit a bump on the road. You will either learn from it or you won't learn from it. But most people that persevere through it, if they're coming from a place of care, a place of purpose, will actually persevere through it.
I agree, and that's the reason they call it impact and then income, is you make the impact first and then you get the income. Whereas most people try and flip that the other way around. They want to make the money and then hit the impact, which is why their businesses struggle, because they're trying to do things for the wrong reasons. Where, like, I think one of the reasons why you guys crush it and why I also do very well is I'm congruent with my audience. I really give a shit about helping people. We give more stuff away for free than people actually charge for, and that's because I just want to see people do well. And the same thing for you. What would you say has helped you be so congruent with your audience and like your specific niche?
I think being so relatable, like, we are them people, we were them people, you know. I experience, and Mike experience exactly how they think, you know, exactly what they're going through, exactly when they're out in the farm or, you know, in the cab of a tractor overthinking. I have been there, and Mike has been there, and it's very close to our heart, to be honest, you know. So it helps us. Again, it's all about understanding, and again, as I always say, the hand around the shoulder is like understanding where they are, because it's very hard to, you know, you can study books, do all that stuff. If you haven't experienced that firsthand yourself, you know, it's very hard to be able to have that connection with someone. And that's the beauty about it, because being able to, for us, I love what we do more than ever, because I can see myself and Mike can see himself in every one of them. Do you want to add a little bit of that?
For sure, like, because, you know, I talked about our resilience in business, like, you know, we came from a farm, like, and people don't realise, like, how hard farming is, like, and that's what brings our resilience there, because, you know, going through tough times at home, like losing our sister and, you know, recently losing our mother, like, we see how hard it is for people. And I think for us, we understand, like, when you are going through a tough time working on a farm, us having that outlet for health, fitness and mindset was such a blessing for us. That's what gives me that purpose to say, I want to give this to someone that needs it most right now. Like, you know, forget about the financial side of it. It's all about, you know, people going through those challenging times with us farming, tough things in their personal life, being able to give them that outlet that they didn't think was available to them, and actually a safe place to work in them areas so that they can actually personally develop and get stronger through it. Like that's what really drives us, like, to have that purpose to help people in that similar position. Like,
what would your advice be to a coach who's listening to this but struggles to find that purpose?
I think you just have to tell your story. Like, our story is what attracted our audience. Like, when we were coaching originally, like, we were helping people from non-farm backgrounds, and it wasn't until we made that switch to actually just talking about our background, our story, where we come from, who we want to help. You're going to naturally, attract that target audience you want to work with, who are just like, an old version of us, but a person that relates to you. Because for us, like, we found it, it is hard to relate to some people out there, but when you actually tell your story, you naturally, attract those people that, are inspired by your story. Because, even if your story doesn't seem like crazy, like, it's still going to inspire someone that has a similar mindset to you, and that is the person that you're probably best at helping with that challenge that you've overcome as well. Like,
100%. I think you should talk about the shit that gives you quivers up your spine when you're telling your story, because you'll be so surprised that the people will actually really realise and connect with you more than ever, because that's all we do, and that's why we love what we do, because we're with like-minded people every day. Like, our calls are like, I look forward to our calls. It's not like, oh God, I don't know what this person's going to say, or because they're like us, and we can help them firsthand, because I can see myself and Mike can see himself in them. And that's the most important. If you can just be honest with yourself and portray exactly what you've been through, and it doesn't matter how big or how small it is, everyone has a story. Everyone has a story, and you'll be very surprised the individuals that will connect with it. And as of a journey, as of an experience for a coach, you will actually love what you're doing more, because you're connecting with the old version of you, not with some people you can't relate to. There's nothing worse, in my opinion, because like Mike said, whereas before we're just talking about the weight loss story, that's fantastic, we're getting like-minded people, I love it, right? But this was even niching it more, and it's like, even as a recent, like, the business has changed so much in terms of the energy. I'm like, because I'm just more aligned to helping people like us more again. I'm like, Jesus, I never thought it'd be like this.
Yeah.
Like, we literally love what we do. Like,
And that's also where you don't feel the pressure and anxiety, because it then becomes a pleasure and purpose driven business that then also obviously financially rewards you, but you're not crippled by anxiety with it almost.
100%. It's like I said earlier, it's like the finances and the success is a byproduct. It's just, a side effect of what we do. As long as we keep doing what we're true to ourselves, true to our story, true to the people that we help, that it'll all come. It'll all compound.
It's one of the most important things I think people need to understand as well, is that probably the story you're most afraid to tell, the story you need to tell. 100%. So, like, to give a really, really good example of this is, I can't remember his name is now, it's just Bedros Keuilian. So Bedros Keuilian, his entire brand of business changed when he went on stage and randomly talked about how he was molested.
Absolutely.
Everything changed for him. The most uncomfortable thing he could fucking talk about changes his entire business. Yeah. And he spoke about that on Length of the podcast as well. That is probably the most difficult thing that he could have spoken about, and it opened him up to a whole new audience of people from a different level. So for anyone listening to us, what's the thing that's difficult for you?
100%. And one thing with us that we haven't spoke about, and even for Bedros as well, he worked on himself. He worked on the mind, and we've worked on our mind. If 10 years ago, could we talk about the stuff that we talk about and not care? Probably not, because we've done a lot of work on ourselves as well, and a lot of self-awareness in ourselves. I think if you're someone that finds that hard to, communicate right now, there's no harm getting some help, like working with a mindset coach or work with a mindset mentor right now, and to be able to establish that, because the more perspective you have, the more free you'll be, and I think that's very important. And that's, again, something that if someone's listening in as a coach and they feel like they can't, they need to process it first, and then things will get easier for you. Because we'd be telling a lie if we could just start talking about this 10 years ago, that'd be a lie,
And that's where business is the ultimate personal development, and your business will never outgrow your individual personal development of the entrepreneur and the founder. And that's where I think I see so many people stuck all the time, is because they cannot see that loop, that the problem isn't necessarily the business, the strategy, or the tactics. Bluntly, it's them. Because I can give someone the fucking Ferrari, the map, the fucking petrol, pretty girl to drive with, whatever.
Yeah.
Don't fucking press start.
Yeah.
because they have a mindset block that's stopping them doing the thing. Whereas like we all know in reality that a lot of these things are actually pretty simple. If you want to run a really successful fitness business, you need to be able to get traffic eyeballs, book them in for sales calls, sell them, get client results, rinse and repeat. It's like 4 things.
Yeah, 100%. It's all about creating that impact, you know, and people find that like difficult and frustrating. They're making it frustrating on themselves, you know, truthfully, like, you know, and we've seen it through our own journeys. Like we have went through blocks in our journey, and we're like, and we've been telling a life, we said, oh, how we actually want to make this work this time.
Yeah.
But it actually comes together. Like at the end of the day, we've only really honed into the farming niche with the last, you know, 12, 13 months. All along, like we would have had this conversation 2 years ago. It's like, where can we take this? You know, where can we go from this? But if anyone's listening in and think that they're in that space, we were there too. And if you can stay true to yourself and follow what you want to do, because we are genuinely afraid
100%.
of biting the bullet and saying going all in on farming.
Yeah.
You know, literally, because we just how we actually came to the decision of it is like we looked at our client base. We're like, people are farming, their brothers are farming, there's relations are farming. I'm like, there's a lot of country, there's all country here. So I'm like, just let's just do it, because I feel better about doing it. And then before we start doing it, it's like, holy shit, like this feels great. I feel free. I get people even that don't buy from us messaging us saying the impact we've had just by our content.
Yeah.
And like, I used to hate content, Charlie. I fucking used to hate content, man. Now I actually love it because I have a purpose behind it, because it's actually making that impact for people.
100%.
What made the big change for you in terms of not hating content? So like, transparently, actually one of my favorite things to do, and even like Mike said behind the camera, is like the difference between me filming fitness content and business content is completely different. Like I enjoy making business content. Like my mind goes off and I can talk for fucking hours on it because I get excited by it like a child, the red shiny toy. What allowed you to start to enjoy the content finally?
Exactly like I said, it's receiving messages from people that never spent anything with us, but we're after changing their lives by just our words. And I'm like, wow, like this is powerful.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I'm only talking about my story and talking about what I've done and what Mike has done just to fix ourselves. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but this is what we've done,
Yeah.
and this is what has helped us. And people like Dave, like and Mike, they're like, you've changed my whole life. I've turned my whole life around. My relationship's in a bad place. I've turned my relationship around, or I've ended that toxic relationship, whatever it is. Like, it was because of, we had a part of it, and for me that's changed the whole thing, because I was like, oh my God, like I enjoy doing the content and the farm because it's we know it.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's easier because you're doing jobs. Like you're getting shit done. Like it's like, you know, you're getting shit done as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that, oh, I'm trying to make props here and do this. It's like we're just doing the shit and talking through it while we're doing it, and it makes everything so much easier. So I'm like, we're kind of doing the day-to-day work and we're doing the content at the same time, and people are really engaging with it and they're loving it, and they're like, even my videographer said, like he's one of our best friends. Like he was primary school from day one, and he said, Davis, I always would say it's what we're doing, but he's like, it's what you're saying, man.
What you're saying.
It's what you're saying now, and that's the difference, right? What we're doing might have drawn them in, but it's what we're saying now that people are listening.
Clear.
And I think the important thing that people should take from that is the positive reinforcement that happens. So like, I've had this recently in the last week or two a lot, where one of the snippets Alex Hormozy told me and his team that you're fucking retarded is where I hadn't taken any sales calls for a long time and basically removed myself fully from it. I've gone back into sales, and I think that's the same thing too before, like player coach role. I take like 4 or 5 calls a week. I'll close double the rate anyone else does, and it's fucking stupid I don't do it. So, but also not from the money side of things, but for the feedback that I get, because I hear directly from the horse's mouth pain points, problems, what you like, what you don't like. And the amount of times someone said to me, like, you've literally changed my entire business from just some of the things, like you said this specific thing in the video. I'm like, fuck. Because you don't see the impact you're having, you just see the view count, the like, the comment or whatever. And I think that's where people also get hung up that maybe they only get 1,000 views on a video, but the reality is if you had 1,000 people standing in front of you, you'd probably shit yourself if you had to try and speak. Yeah. So like that's a lot of people if you've got 1,000 unique people you're speaking to. And I think people need to really understand the impact they can have for that, and they actually start to then think of the reward they can have for the other person, and then the knock-on effect is when like they start to really enjoy the process.
Yeah, no, 100%. I actually I seen somewhere online where it was like 1,000 people in front of you, and then you had 10,000 people, then you had 200,000 people. It was like a stadium. I was like, wow. Like, there's sometimes we forget the amount of people that see our stuff and watch our stuff, you know, on a daily basis and get impact from our stuff. And it's an incredible feeling, you know, to know that you are making that impact. And even for ourselves, going to like, especially because farming is a small niche, you know, and like we're probably very well known now in the industry, to be honest. And it's going to different events. People are like coming up to you, and you feel like you're like a fucking celebrity, like,
for sure.
in a way. And that's an overwhelming experience too, to be honest, you know. And we're trying to get used to that, but again, it's coming from a place of care all the time, and it's great. It's fantastic.
And that's what I say is like, you spoke earlier about new levels, new devils.
Yeah.
It's the same thing from a personal development standpoint. It's the same thing for people that start doing big events. I'm like, fuck, there's like 120 people here who want like a piece of me.
Yeah.
I found that quite, for someone who's very introverted, transparently, like a not a difficult thing to deal with. It's awesome, but it was like a challenge because I like spending a lot of time on my own.
100%.
Where suddenly you've got like 120 people and people are like
Overwhelming.
Yeah, so it's you have to learn new skill sets as your business changes and as your personal brand changes, which we actually spoke about before. Is like the big thing everyone should be focusing on right now if they're not, because that's going to be the most important thing in 20, 30, 3 to 5 years time.
100%. And it's that connection, like, you know, it's, you can have the best business ever, but it's the actual people that you and the connection you're having with that people, because people like connection, you know. And that's what, even for us, that's what we love. And we would never notice that before, as like people are coming up, like we said, it's an overwhelming experience, but you know, it's all positive, man.
Yeah.
And like, holy God, like, and these people think they know, like, these people, it's like they know us because of our content, which is all we're doing is talking about ourselves, and it's great. Like, it's like, wow. And to have such a positive impact on someone's life that you never met before, it's incredible. Like, so it's overpowering, like
Surreal.
Yeah, it's surreal. Like, it really, really is. And you've never met the person from Adam, like, you know. So it's the power of it. That's a new experience, like I said, but the power of it, it's incredible.
What's the biggest thing that's helped you improve your skill in terms of making content? Because your content is very good, you guys do very well. What would be some advice you could give to the audience in terms of what you have found has worked for you?
Yeah, like, I think the most important thing is obviously it's making sure that the piece of content is actually good. You know, before I would have the mindset, like I was saying earlier, is it's what we're doing. It's not, it's actually what we're saying. So again, you'll have to really know your audience, know your niche. And the best advice I can give you is, like, there's a couple of 3 main areas I really talk about, really hone in on, right? And they always do well. So the biggest thing I can say to everyone is feedback, is data. It's like, we keep feedback in all our posts, what do well, we see the similarities in it, and we kind of focus more and go all in them things. So we've nailed down to, you know, 3 major things, right? And we do more of that.
What are those 3 major things?
Relationships, alcohol is a big one, and like confidence, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, like, and with relationships is a broad one. So you've men that want to settle down, women that are, you know, that are a bit older and they can't find someone. Like, we're getting, and this is all just feedback from what we're getting up, like from Q&As, from people like commenting, engaging. Like, this is what we're getting. So we watch all the feedback. So the biggest thing that we hold in on that more. We hold in on that more. So the big thing is just really actually nailing that down. The more you can actually understand that and do more of that stuff,
Right.
is the most important. Now, secondly, is people are nosy, right? I think I've said this in the last podcast. People are nosy, right? So the biggest thing we've seen at the very start, they're probably interested in what we're doing, and now there's a fair following there now. People kind of are aware of what we do now because we're doing it a while. The difference is, you know, people who want to see what you're doing because they're interested. And I've got that an awful lot, as well as from some people saying, I just love watching what you're doing. I'm just interested in what you're doing every day. And then there's like, oh, then I started listening to you. Like, oh, then I started listening to it. Then that's the reality. So the content gets them in. So I'd always say is, make sure you're doing something. Like, don't get me wrong, if you're standing in front of the camera and not being still, like, there's 98% of people are doing that.
Yeah.
You have to be that 1 or 2% that's doing differently.
I think, like, being unique as well, like, you know, our content's very unique because I'll tell you a perfect example. Like, you know, we were sorting sheep out in the yard, and I just said, Nicholas, let's just video a workout. And I was like, grand, there I am, my wellies covered in sheep dung. So start videoing a workout, doing the workout on the farm, no equipment, no gym, no nothing, just in my work gear. And everyone was like, oh my God, like, this is exactly what I need. Like, because most of our audience, like, you know, we had that audience that never set foot inside a gym. You know, they'd never actually learned anything about nutrition. They're very much just starting from scratch. I think that's what gives us a huge advantage, is because we're still talking to people that are very new to the whole fitness space. And I think that's really what drives me with our content, is because, when someone's inspired and they actually see our content, because there's so much stuff online that's negative. When they see you actually in like their environment talking about positivity, they're like, wow, this is exactly what I need. And then when they actually make that jump to invest in themselves, to working on their fitness, they're not just working on changing their body, like they're actually changing their identity, if you think about it, because they actually are now one of those people that invest in their health. And that's what I love about it, because helping someone go through that process of transformation, just from the content to actually joining our program, is that change in identity. And being able to see people progress through our program, then and seeing them just being like, wow, I'm able to do what I do on my farm, working, and more than ever, like, I'm able to actually feel better on myself and confident in myself. Like,
100% agree with what you said there. And it just reminded me of a great analogy I use on sales calls. It's like, every time anyone buys anything, any time makes a decision, like, you can change everything. So the way I frame it to people is like, Michael's your time to draw a line in the sand and step over to where you want to be. Like, that's the decision. And I think that's where so many people are held back by fear, and they don't understand that, like, nothing changes. And you can tell very quickly where someone's life is going to go based upon three things, in my opinion. One is their bank statement, what they spend their money on. I think you made a bit of a joke about this earlier on. Number two is in terms of like their calendar, like where they allocate their time, the most precious resource. And thirdly, in my opinion, is a YouTube watch history. And if I give a great example of this, I remember this was probably 2.5 years ago. I just moved to Dubai. There was a friend of mine who, I won't say his name, who came out to stay with me for a week. And he was sitting on the sofa watching football. I have never watched football in my house. And then I was like watching YouTube sales videos. And he turned to me and he's like, Charlie, do you know why you are where you are and why I am where I am? I was like, why? He's like, well, look at what you're doing, look at what I'm doing. I was like, and it's that compound effect of what you do every single day, those little choices, that makes a big difference. I don't know if it's this phone, but I have like that's what's the other one. I have a quote on one of my phones about basically like obsession of like those small little things of constantly trying to get better at what like makes you monumentally great at what you want to do. But if you're like passionate like you guys are and I am, and if you're on the audience as well, it's not by you're making yourself do those things. You want to go and do those things.
Like 100%. We're the same. If it's not books, it's YouTube. We watch YouTube bits together and we send each other stuff over and back all the time that I find good at. We find pull tools from straight off the bat, because I think everyone in business is addicted to personal development. So addicted to bettering themselves. Even when we're doing well in business, we want to do better. Even when business is doing really well, we want to do better in our mind. We want to learn more. And that's all. We're always trying to improve. And I think that's like such an incredible thing, because like you said, the comparison or the playing the devil's advocate, you can be doing nothing. You can be wasting your life, and we were there. We were the people that were leaning in devices before, and transition to the opposite. And I wouldn't change for the world, because it's addictive. It really is. It's like you said, it's a game. Like, it's a game of like improving and self-awareness.
Yeah, I mean, I think even like going through the journey of business, like, you always had this attitude like everything has to be perfect from the start. But like, even looking back on our own journey, like where we were when we started to the service we deliver now, like
there's nothing
it's
perfect.
After improving, day by day, by week, by month, and it's because like all those different things that may like break someone, like a negative feedback of someone not getting a result, or someone going against you, rather than taking it as a negative, look at it as a way to improve your service, get better. And that's what we done, like every single thing as we went through the journey. Like, if the content wasn't working, how do we improve that? If there was something in the service that we needed to work on, we improved that, whether it was improving our mindset or bringing in more trainings for our clients, and constantly looking at it as feedback rather than something that kind of stopped us and made us to not enjoy what we're doing, and being able to persevere through those challenges. Like
100%. And the only way you can do that is data.
Yeah,
like it's constantly feedback, and that's the biggest thing we've learned over the last couple of years, is just having that feedback and leaving the ego on the ground, leave the ego on the table there, because we have to learn. We're all learning, and we're going to hit more setbacks. It's just a journey, like as we grow, and that's the reality of it. But when we have that mindset and we made that change, things improved. It's like you said something very interesting to me before. You might have to take one step back to take two steps forward, to build that spider's web out. And I always think of it, because I'm the type of mindset I was like, through the moon already. Like, why aren't we there? And Mike is like, okay, let's like sort the logistics how we do this. You know, so it's a great yin to the yang, if that makes sense. And I always think about that because I have a total different mindset towards that. I was like, yeah, if we want to take on 200 clients in the morning, we can't. You know, we have to give us 2 weeks. We'll have a good stab of have everything set up, team, everything set up, and then we'll be able to do it. So it's having that mindset that, you know, that if you really want to grow long term and stay consistent, you know, like the biggest thing we've been very proud about is being consistent. You know, consistent months, consistent growth, you know, not just a flex. Like, we can all do a flex, you know, but it's consistent months, consistent building, and that's the difference, how we can actually improve. So doing that has made us very, very proud of where we are, because we would have been the guys that would have done a flex and got a big month, and then the following month it used to always happen where it would just drop. And it's like, there's a thing about that. It come to me, but we don't leave that happen anymore. We don't leave that happen anymore.
Why do you think so many coaches do that?
I think it's like, it's the highs and lows of emotions, like, you know, and that's the way we were. Like we said, this is a journey, like, you know, it's a journey of the highs and lows. And sometimes when it's brand new to you, you know, you have to constantly understand that it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
That it doesn't stop.
It does not stop. And sometimes you think, oh, I have a good month, you take the foot off the gas for 2 weeks and then you're in trouble. You know, even for a week you're in trouble. We don't leave it off for a day, you know, to be honest, because we realise that if we want to get to where we want to be and create that impact for people and create that community for people, we can't stop.
Yeah.
You know, and we're good with that. You know, and people are like, oh, you know, a bit of balance. Balance is what we love, man.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think like a big thing for us as well, you know, you can all do the big months on your own doing everything, but when you actually start to build a team and you actually realise people's livelihoods are dependent on you, like you're there, you know, there's people on our team that have families, like, and you're like, you know, I have to make sure I have another good month to make sure that everyone gets paid, everyone's happy, like, and that's what gives you that driver to stack those consistent months, because you're doing it on your own, you'll work yourself into the ground and you'll get that big figure, and then you're burnt out the month after. But then when you have a team behind you, rather than going on your own, you're going together, you can just make sure that you can optimize your energy to keep this consistent. And that's what we've done, the factory together, and we've a really solid team there now. You know, things just work, you know, in a nice flow, like, and that's the reason we can keep these things consistent, like.
100%. And it's the energy in the team, it's the culture. You know, everyone wins together on our team. You know, we've changed, you know, a lot of our clients' lives, but we changed a lot of our team's lives as well, you know, and that makes me very grateful for what we do, because, you know, it started off of a passion just for ourselves, and now we're changing, you know, even our employees' lives, not just our clients' lives. And like, it's an incredible feeling. It's surreal, like you said earlier. It's such a surreal feeling, because it's like that compound is happening from the outside and it's happening from the inside, you know, so it's phenomenal.
And I think that's where a lot of coaches shoot themselves in the foot trying to play small. Because in my honest opinion, most coaches listen to this right now, you are fucking yourself over with having your business stuck around making 10k a month, because that's where you're in the position of burnout. You're doing everything. You're also fucking probably paranoid by anxiety. The whole thing's going to collapse at any point. Whereas, like, from my side, what I want to try and get people to do is escape velocity, so they get from 10 to 30 to 50k a month as quickly as possible, so you've got some type of team around you, and a bit like we said earlier on, you actually have a bit of space to think, because human beings are the most dominant creature on the planet. One, because we're adaptable, and two, we actually have a brain and we can think consciously. And if you don't actually like plug that in and use it, then your business will never grow. And I think people have this misconception that having a team is risky and taking on staff is risky. But what maybe is more risky is you don't have a team and you don't have staff, and then maybe you get sick for 2 weeks and then you can't work. Like, what happens then? And that's where you've got the golden handcuffs. You make money, but you can't step away from it, and you're literally glued to this thing, and it works for you, not you work for it.
Yeah, it's the difference of working on the business and working in the business. You know, I think we've, even for myself, was guilty of that for a long time, you know, until we actually expanded the team and, you know, took the risk and took again, it's a belief thing as well for a lot of people.
It was even like I said to you, I think that the 2 steps back, 1 step forward. No, sorry, 2 steps forward, 1 step back analogy came from, I think we're talking about sales.
Yeah.
Because like, if you take all the sales calls, would you make more money?
Yeah.
Short term, yeah. long term, is that going to work? No. So it's like, you're going to have to slay that dragon at some point, so you might as well kill it now.
Yeah, 100%. And that's one of the biggest bottlenecks that we had, you know, over the last while, was for me to come back from sales calls and to not take as much of them, so we can do more marketing, so we can do more podcasts, so we can create bigger impact, get more eyes and ears on us, which creates more leads to come in, you know, more people to come in and more people we can help. And when you're stretched like that, it's impossible. It's like that burnout, like we talked about, when you're, you know, doing 10 sales calls a day, then you're trying to do 2-3 hours of content. Like, it's like a double-edged sword. It really, really is, like, and it won't last. You know, so every level is a different devil, as we say. You know, if it's going from the coach to the sales guy to the marketer, like, it's grand. You can stay there and make the money, but you won't grow.
Yeah.
You will not grow, you know, and that's just the reality of it.
How do you think both of your mindsets have changed from, say, making 10 to 50k a month to 100, 150k a month plus?
I think the biggest thing is team, you know, is if we want to compound that, it's having the right team there, having people to, you know, to rebuild and keep that spider web strong, and to be a better leader, to be honest. And that's something that me and Mike have been working on an awful lot, is to be a better leader, because I think we can always be guilty of it when it's brand new. I know even for us, you know, the start this year, you know, Christmas, we lost our mum, and quite tragically, and we took a step back, really, because again, we're going through grief, but we still got the results, but it's because we actually had the tools and had the mindset there to actually step in and to take that leadership role more than ever. And why? Because of the trajectory of, we're making two ladies proud now, my mum and my sister. And that's, we can play devil's advocate and feel sorry for ourselves and, you know, make the business stop. But would my mother and would my sister want that? No. They're our biggest cheerleaders, you know, so I know they'd want us to do better. So we're doing it in, you know, their grace.
Sure.
What would be your advice to people? So I see probably 90% of people in that situation would use that as an excuse to, like, fuck off the divide, have a meltdown and whatever, and then they could drop off the face of the earth. And I see it all the time. And I saw a business coach the other day put up on his stories about how he was suffering with anxiety. And from my side of things, like, your most important thing with you're a leader is to put confidence into your team, but then also to your clients, because like they will look up to you, and if they see uncertainty in you, then that's going to start to put uncertainty in them. Because the thing you're selling, it's like we're selling our team, but then we're also selling our clients, is conviction and certainty. That's what people want to buy, right? So if you're uncertain, then people will feel that. What would be your advice to those people who maybe haven't got that mindset yet, just to be like, fuck it, I just need to do this regardless?
Yeah. I hate saying it, but it's not our first rodeo.
No.
You know, we did do the wrong thing at the start when we lost Sarah. You know, we did put on all the weight.
Yeah.
We emotionally felt bad, went through that transition till we had to, you know, get that realization. And now since Mum has passed, look, it doesn't make things any easier. I think the biggest thing for ourselves is actually accepting to forgive ourselves that it's okay to grieve too.
Yeah.
Like, that's a different conversation. But what I'd say to anyone is, if someone has passed or going through something tough, the way I always put it, and I wouldn't have been able to listen to this or take this when I was going through it at the start, but like, I didn't die. You know, my sister died. Is battering yourself, or you stopping, going to, they're still around us.
Yeah.
They're still looking down over us. Is battering yourself and you stopping and you know, feeling sorry for yourself, how's it going to make them feel? Because are you trying to make them proud? Would they be happy, or would they be sad that what you're doing? And I always have that in the back of my mind, because when I stop or when I go off track, I think about that, because they're around us, you know, and that drives me on more than ever, because we've done long enough where we probably upset our sister, you know, of battering ourselves and eating all around us and whatnot. So I always have that mindset of like, you have to do the shit regardless how you feel, because there's a bigger picture out there.
For sure.
Today.
And I think, like, for me, you know, our biggest fears, like, we fear about business going bad, having a bad month. Like, my biggest fear was that happened to my mother, like, and that became a reality last December. And, you know, for us, like, seeing how quickly she got on well and, you know, passed, like, it was hard, but, you know, very easy to look at that and say, okay, this is going to be the reason for me to stop and, you know, not pursue this. But, I had to flick that switch to say, I had such a great 27 years with my mother, and I have some of the best memories ever with that woman. Like, and all I want to do is make her proud. But seeing her being unwell for that short period of time, if our program is a reason, when I bring someone on board, is a reason for me to help prevent them ever going into that circumstances, and seeing, them go through that, or even see their family, see them unwell because they didn't take care of their health. I use that as a passion to say, right, I want to be able to even help more people, and use that pain that I feel now to want to help more people, regardless of, finance or anything like that, because you realise, like, when something comes to your front door, whether it's grief, sickness, all you can do is wish, that you had your health or had things better. And, for us, that wasn't an option for my mother. And, when you're in them hospitals, like, there's so many people in there, and all they're doing is wishing for their health back, like. And that's why, like, as a health coach, you might be helping people get in shape, but, you're helping them prevent so many, worse diseases down the line, whether it's cardiovascular disease, depression, all them things as well, which are massive challenges for people, like, and being able to use that pain as your purpose to help even more, like.
I remember going to a hospice in the UK, and a family member was dying from cancer. I remember going in there and I was like, this is the most not peculiar, I don't know the word peculiar is the right word to use, but like suffocating environment I think I've ever fucking been into, but it probably gave me more perspective in that 45 minutes than anything else in terms of like the reality of life and like the cold hard truth of it. And that's where I think fitness coaches who are listening to this, who are afraid to sell people into their programs when you know the value of how you can change people's lives, are a coward, because you're afraid to actually help someone to add maybe 10 years of their life because you're afraid to have a difficult conversation with that person. And that's where, like, sometimes being very blunt and being very direct is actually the thing that needs to be done, because if that person has had shit health for 20, 30 years, someone needs to have the fucking honest conversation with them, whether they like to hear it or not. And I think for everyone out there, that's what you should really look to try and do with your content, to actually change people's lives, and as a byproduct you will get the income you want from it.
100%.
Like the biggest thing for ourselves is self-realization on calls. Just getting the individuals to realize, why they actually have to change. It's like that mirror, that mirror is honest. Like, we are the mirror that'll tell you like what you need to hear, not what you want, what you think. And it's just the truth of it. And we'd be giving them a disservice if we didn't. That is the truth, because we are first-hand experience of people have gone through the weight loss, gone through grief from not people, looking after themselves. Like,
yeah, for sure. And I always think, like, if that person doesn't commit to making themselves a priority, make their health a priority, if they don't come on board and do this now, like where are they now? Are they in a worse off position because I couldn't actually help them realise that? I done them a disservice, rather than me thinking, they done me a disservice by not coming on to my program. I let them down, because they're in a worse off position, struggling with their weight or struggling with their health, because, it might seem just nutrition, training, but it's so much bigger than that, like. And that's where, like, we've clients there that, losing the weight is a byproduct, but next thing you know, they're in a relationship, they're taking part in events they never done before, they're even going abroad, like, they're actually saying to themselves, I have the confidence in myself to go travelling now and enjoy life, and actually stop denying myself all those experiences, because we denied ourselves so many experiences because of our weight, like not feeling that we could travel, not having the confidence to put ourselves out there, denying ourselves even relationships. And no one should feel that way. And that's why, like, being able to improve your body, your mind, you're actually allowing yourself to experience it. You're not denying, you're giving yourself permission to enjoy them experiences.
Thanks. And it reminds me of a client. His name was Derek. I think he was from California. He was like 500 pounds, and I literally said to him, I was like, how many 500 pound people do you see at 60, Derek? He was like 50. He was like, none. I was like, what are we doing here? So, like, you either fix this problem or you're not going to have a problem to fix at some point. I think that's where you need to be able to have those type of conversations, but also, even from a sales aspect, the way people price their programs is, I know we spoke about monthly and paid up front, but is like, you need to sell people the permanent solution, like selling people that type of client a monthly program. Psychologically in their head, they have a fucking monthly commitment. In 4 weeks I'll decide if I want to continue. Like, no, Derek, like, you're fucking doing this and you're going to drop 100 pounds. So you can see 60 years old, otherwise you will not. Like, and that's, like the draw the line in the sand analogy again. It's like, this is your opportunity to change, or you will not have the opportunity at some point. And I think the
that's what people need to understand from even the way they structure the business from a pricing standpoint. Yes, to make more money with people, say, paying up front, but it's also you will get better results, you'll get better clients, you get people actually committed to the process rather than like dabblers, essentially.
No, 100%. And look, perspective is everything. That's even for ourselves, being in that place, you don't have any self-belief. You know, so when you have a monthly, you have that monthly mindset. Like, there's no commitment there. But when someone backs themselves, like, it takes investment, and you're like, it's a big investment, but they'll do it. That's the reality of it. Otherwise, it's like a Netflix subscription. Sometimes they do it, sometimes they'll watch it, sometimes they won't. Like, it's the same, but when you back yourself, you'll do it. That's the reality, and that changes the whole mindset. And that's why, you know, we get great results, because people go all in and they back themselves and they get great results.
Yeah.
Why do you think coaches in the UK are afraid to sell up front, and everyone has this obsession with fucking monthly pricing and monthly reoccurring?
Self-belief. We, UK, Ireland, are the mindset, you know, it's people are always warriors, like, they're overthinkers, you know, and it's from a generational thing, you know. It's like, mind your money, you know,
Money doesn't grow on trees.
Be all saving, like, we all heard that, you know. And then is that self-belief. Even for I went through it, you know. I was charging, you know, 100 a month at the start, and there was coach, in my back of my mind, there's a coach there that's 10 years there and he's charging 150. I can never charge 150 because he's there 10 years, like, he's way more experienced than me. But the difference is when you actually, he's not me and I'm not him, and he doesn't have this experience that I've been through, and I don't have his experience, so I hold in what I know and who I want to help, and whatever else wants to do, that's all good too. But the reality of it is, you have to have that value in yourself firstly. And again, it's for me that really helped me, you know. I done that for 2 months was all, and then I bit the bullet and went all in and charged proper, like, charged an upfront payment, and everything changed. And the reality of it is, I had to have that undeniable proof. That undeniable proof was me getting in shape, losing weight, going from obese to getting in great shape, Mike the exact same, and be able to back ourselves in different scenarios.
For sure.
And that helped so much of breaking that belief.
It has to be congruent with your product. You have to live and breathe it, and we do that. Like, you know, we train, we eat properly, we challenge ourselves to do different things, we take part in events with our clients because we understand, like, how much it helped us, and, like, it's an absolute privilege to be able to help someone else with that exact challenge. Do you know what I mean? It's not about the finances. Do you know what? This is you giving yourself permission to make yourself a priority, to actually make yourself, you know, that priority with your health. And, like, the way I always look at it, like, in Ireland and the UK, like, so many people are in debt. Like, every month they're paying banks, and the bank, if they start missing a payment, it's going to start ringing them up saying, why aren't you paying the payments? But no one has that for their health. If you stop taking care of your health, no one's going to ring you up and say, hey Charlie, like, why you have to put on 4 or 5 kilos the last 2 months. No one will do that for them, and that's probably the most important thing, because if your health goes in the wrong direction,
Doesn't matter how much money you have.
yeah, can't do anything about it. Like,
I love to, like, people needs to be, this needs to be, like, taught in school.
for sure, mate.
You know, it's the value, like, it's the value. And I think, you know, Ireland and UK in terms of that are like 10 years behind everywhere else, because you talk to, like, American clients, they can see the value, how this can help them, for example, where sometimes in Ireland and UK they're like, you have to twist their arm, you know. And I'm like, well, you're talking to two guys that we can see how precious life is, you know. And maybe, again, some people don't have that perspective, and that's fine. But again, you don't want them to see that or experience that for themselves, because it doesn't matter how much they have in their bank account, like, if their health is not on their side, it's not going to change anything.
When you both got in shape, did you have a coach help you do it?
Yeah,
So that's congruent with what you do.
100%.
And then how important do you think it is for people to invest in themselves? Because that's a huge mental roadblock for many people. And like, first time I got in shape, I got a coach to do it for me, to teach me. And I was like, this is really fucking easy. I just do what they tell me to do. I then get the end result. And like, this is the ultimate shortcut for life.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think it's, again, it's another area. Like, we all have a doctor, we all have a dentist, we all have people that do stuff for us in the different areas of life, because we're busy. Like, we focus on, if you're focused on the farm, if you're focused on a business, you know, if you're focused on whatever job, an engineer, whatever, that's what you're good at. Like, sometimes you can't think about everything. We're not, well, especially men, we're not multitaskers, right? But you can't do everything. So there needs to be an area of professionalism in terms of the health and fitness side of it too. So you can actually learn the tools. and get that awareness, start living that life, because then the other areas, like we said, the byproducts ricochets of being better in work, maybe getting a raise, then maybe getting more confidence to start a business yourself. It starts from within, and you have to do the outside stuff firstly, like the physical stuff, build up that belief in yourself to actually change your life as well.
Yeah. So if you look at the inflection point for both of you was actually hiring a coach who then helped you get in shape, because you wouldn't be sitting here having the business you have right now, changing loads of other people's lives. And that all started from you guys making one decision to invest in yourself years ago, which changed everything. Because that's like the catalyst for this whole sequence when you look back.
100%. Like we, at the end of the day, when I was losing weight, right, I'd done things the wrong way, but at the end of the day, I went back to a house and a garage in the back of someone's house that had, exercise equipment, and they gave me a diet plan. Like someone still helped me to get there, and, and then it was through working our body, working our mind, like the bandwidth of experience we have through our own self-experience, but like from other coaches that we've used as well, different techniques over the years has made us to be the coaches we are, and decisions we make with our own clients as well.
100%. And I think like a big thing is like the law of exposure too. Like when you start getting exposed to other people getting in insane shape, like pushing at that next level in a coaching program, you're like, I want to be there as well. And it's like, when you're in another business mentorship as well, and you see people like doing incredibly well, you're like, what do I need to do to get there? And then you're like, oh, I'm playing way too small. Like, I'm only sending 50 messages a day, but this person's sending 900 messages a day. Okay, I send 900. Do you know what I mean? If I want to get there, and that's where like being able to expose yourself to that. And I don't think you'll ever get exposed to those types of things if you don't actually bet on yourself and invest in yourself in those areas.
What would you say is the best example of that, working with me and us at Seven Figure Scaling Systems? Was there like one thing specific, like, fuck, like I didn't realise that?
That's been a lot of things. I think the biggest thing was, and it always sticks to me, it's like, it's taking that one step back to move 2 steps forward. Because I remember talking with you, probably a year ago, and saying we want to do A, B, and C. And you're like, okay, but how can you do that? You asked me that question, is that if you take on 200 clients tomorrow, how could I actually do that? It wouldn't work. So we actually had to build out everything firstly, which was brand new to us, and build that out before we could actually take in people. So there's a couple of different angles, like seeing people doing incredibly well, like hard to believe, that how are they doing it? Hard to understand, because again, coming from a small farm, in Ireland, having that, again, that money mindset, of, mining money at the crossroads, all that stuff, money doesn't grow on trees, seeing people that do incredibly well in what you're doing as well, and you just can't get your head around it. You showed us the tools in different areas of how that is actually possible, and through sales, through advertising, through content, through building a team, through every area, to be honest, and that's the way I need, like there's different departments for every area to be a successful business, and everyone has to be as good as each other.
Yeah, I think the speed of implementation too, like, is being able to like have a problem or a bottleneck and just get exactly what you need to implement with it, which has been a massive like needle mover for us. This is what you need to do just to get out of a certain challenge, and just implementing that and then moving forward. And
we're really responsive with that, because the difference, what we've experienced, can say working with someone else to working with yourself, is like, you're like, fix that. That's it. It's not this a roundabout way of a fancy way and just would be waste of time. It's like, fix that fucking thing. That's it. Yeah. Just sort it. Yeah. And we're like, yeah, okay. That's it. Sort that, and then the next thing, and that just cuts the BS. Like, it's like, fix that, do that, perfect, we'll do it. That's it.
And that's where business, like, the longer I do this, business is really fucking simple. So like, the amount of improvement, like, transparently in our own business in 6 to 8 weeks from some of the stuff I've done with Alex Hormozi, which was like, literally, he said like 2 things to me. I'm like, that's really fucking obvious. Like, our client numbers were fairly like stagnant. It's now like increased like 20% in 6 weeks because I did 2 things that cost nothing. And that's now I have that skill. Like, I've learned something else. It's opened my eyes and be like, okay, Dave, you have that problem, you do this. Yeah. And it's also, I think, where you want to learn from people who are also constantly learning, because one of the problems I see is a lot of people still try to teach things that worked in 2020. The world is evolving so quickly. Like, the rate of development is insane. And like some of the stuff, like the AI stuff that like John Lee showed the other day, it's like, it's not quite there yet, but it's going to come. And it's the people who are first adopters, who are ahead of everyone else, who will absolutely clean up. And then there's going to be probably 95% of people who will get left behind. Their businesses will probably go backwards or probably collapse. What I think will happen is we'll have more coaches with much bigger businesses, and then we'll have less smaller coaches, because those people won't adapt to the way things are changing.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you know, we were only talking about this. I was talking to yourself about it as well. It's like ChatGPT's there, what, a year and a half?
Yeah.
It's crazy just seeing the stuff from the mastermind the other day, how fast at a rate it's after changing. Like, it's going to put businesses out of business. The way how quick it's going moving, like it's frightening. But again, like you said, it's adapting to it and utilizing it as a tool in a way. And like you said, it's not all there, but you have to have the awareness on it, because a lot of people will just be ignorant of it. And like you said, that'll be the difference of people going here and people staying here.
It's like, I always like to use it like, you know, I suppose in a farming context, like context, like you had the farmer before with his horse, his plowing the field. Next thing the neighbour came in with a tractor, like, and ploughed the field in a day that would have otherwise took, you know, a week. And I think that's what AI is. It's like, it's not going to stop your business, but it's just going to make you better, and it's going to make you implement faster. Because before, when you're working and you get this brain fog, like, oh, I'm stuck on this, I don't know what to write about content, you've no excuse not to know.
No excuse.
You know, for me, like, it's like, I've no excuse not to start writing out content ideas. I've no excuse not to understand like what way to structure something, because I can get feedback from ChatGPT. It's like having your own little, you know, secret ingredient there to help you with that, and you just have to evolve and grow with it, rather than use it as like, oh my god, this is going to replace me, because it's not going to replace you. It's going to, you know, the only thing that'll replace you is if you actually stop working. Like, that's the only reason you might get replaced. Like,
and that's where I think the things you can use it for a while, like some of the AI sales stuff that I sent you guys in terms of like how to manage sales teams, like the analytics and reporting and the way it can break stuff down is nuts.
It's speed, like it's speed of content, speed of like lead magnets. The stuff that could take a couple of days before, like we get in minutes now. It's just like, it's speed.
So this is where I'd also reframe it. So some people watching this will end up getting lazy. Now, what happens is, say for example, you actually said a great thing before this. So you've come to Dubai, you end up having to batch record your content, and that actually made you be way more efficient. I end up being in the US for like 6 weeks, so I had to do the same thing. In January, we filmed for maybe 10 days, like almost like 3 months worth of content, podcasts, YouTube, shorts, ads, like fucking everything. Now, what AI allows you to do is create content at scale. Now, what some people will do is they will make the same amount of content and just like with 10% of the time. Or you could just make 10 times as much content and just fucking annihilate everyone else. Which my plan would be, make 10 times as much and just like swamp everyone. And that's where I think, you know, the analogy earlier of having like, there'll be more bigger businesses and some of the smaller ones will get eaten up because the bigger people will dominate more.
Yeah, facts. And it's because of like sheer volume. Like even for ourselves getting more time back, we're 3x in the content. Why? Because we have our time back. And it's not to stay the same. It's not, oh, I can put my feet up. It's no, it's like, how can we get more eyes and ears on us? And that's the end goal always.
What would you say to anyone who's hesitant about reaching out to work with me or work with us, despite some of the press they hear? And obviously we have fucking shitloads of results, but still people are skeptical.
Honestly, you know, take the risk, bite the bullet. If you're someone like ourselves that has a strong mindset to work and likes being told what to do, no BS, talk to Charlie. Like, and that's the truth, because we have been in different masterminds and mentorships, and a lot of it is very, you know, fluff. A lot of it's fluff where this is direct, and that's what we need. And everyone's different. That's what we work well with. You know, that's what we wanted. No fluff. Do it. That's it. Bang. Sorted. And if you're willing to work, and you want to actually like 3-4 extra business, talk to Charlie. Simple.
And I think you mentioned there like how quick the online space is evolving, and the good thing about being, you know, this mentorship with yourself, Charlie, is that you're testing yourself and evolving with it, rather than trying to keep doing strategies that are outdated. Because, you know, you can see like even, you know, a video like script or a content type, like it changes in the space of 2 weeks. Like a video that was incredible for a week, all of a sudden it's not working now, and you have to evolve with it. And sometimes, you know, if you're doing the same thing every single day and you're expecting a different result, like it's just not going to happen. The only thing that'll make it work is when you make a change.
Definition of insanity from Albert Einstein.
Facts. Because when you're doing it, when you're in your own fitness business and you can see techniques and trends and patterns, we know about it, so we're working with it too. So That's,
But also, I see across like 300 businesses.
yeah, so you see it
Plus all the other friends and nerdy people I know all over the
you
place.
see it across people are doing something that works, such as that's working well. Like,
Yeah.
we can try this too, and everyone helps each other then as well. So everyone is winning together.
Yeah,
Like, there's no one actually that's been in the mastermind has done worse. You know, truthfully, like everyone has grown, and why? Because we can soundboard off each other, soundboard off yourself. You know, do what we need to do and focus on that one thing that works for us. That is the most important.
And I think the key thing that people need to understand, I think one of the things you said there, which is interesting, people think the market is saturated, but that's a limiting belief. And this is actually something Alex Hormozy, I don't think he said it to me, but he said it to someone. He's like, someone was bitching about the market being really saturated. He's like, it's fucking good. It's saturated because it shows there's money there and people want to come into it. You actually want to be worried if it's not saturated and people aren't coming into the market because it means it's struggling. And I had a friend who's a real estate agent the other day bitching about how many people are coming into it. I'm like, dude, it's because there's so much fucking money in it. That's why everyone wants to come here, right? Like, my background's like real estate. My head's like, oh, fucking me, I'll just go and like set that up as well. So like entrepreneurial ADHD. So like that's where it's actually a good thing because it shows where people are getting pulled in because there's a demand. If there wasn't a demand, then people wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, 100%. And it gives you the opportunity to be
Better.
unique, better, different, authentic. And the more you can be yourself and more authentic you can be, the more you can, if it's niche down or whatever it is, the more you can be you and talk about yourself, the more people you like to work with, the greater impact you'll create, the better you'll be than everyone else.
100%. To wrap things up, where's the best place for people to find out about you guys?
Across all boards, Dave Kennedy TLB.
Yeah, I'm Michael Kennedy TLB on Instagram, TikTok.
Awesome. Make sure you check them out, guys. Big thank you for your time. If you haven't already, go and listen to the other podcast I did last summer, actually, in Marbella with Dave. That was a bang. We had some great feedback on that. If you want help in terms of scaling your own fitness business, I will personally take the one-to-one sales call if you take it from this video here. So if you hit the link below, I'll look at your business. We'll break down where you are, where we can help you, and help you take the next level. So if you hit the link below video, you can book in. If you took value from the podcast, make sure you subscribe, share, and we'll see you next episode very soon.